Hey everyone, my name is Dante and welcome back to Story Hub, your hub for the best stories on Reddit. I got mad all over again writing this because of the sheer amount of disrespect from Total Wine Management. I have the receipt for this order too. There's a specific wine I used to pair with food. The closest Total Wine that had it was a 60-mile drive and it was storming out and I wanted it for the holidays because most likely was going to be cooped up inside. So I drove over. This used to be my typical Total Wine until I moved 2 counties away. Anyways, I go in and pick up the wine and get some other stuff for holiday parties. Was in there maybe an hour and it comes time to check out and the cashier asks me for my ID, so I give it to her and then she tells me she needs to see the ID of the other person I was with, so now I'm confused and say I'm alone. And she says, well, I have to go get my manager. Okay, fine. So he comes out to tell me that she told him I was with someone and they need to come back and bring their ID or they won't sell it to me. I told him I wasn't with anyone. He asks to see my ID and looks at it and says, well, unfortunately you look young at this point. I'm like, are you serious? And he's like, you can come back tomorrow alone. I find it extremely disrespectful to tell someone they look young while you're holding their ID in your hand, and not to mention I've been shopping at that exact location for about 4 years and have never had a problem. So I told him about how I drove there and have been shopping there for years and that I even have a second form of ID, and he was just kind of giggling and saying no. So I left very angry and it was late around 9 p.m. and then I had the about hour and a half drive back home in the rainstorm. So I was home pissed about it all night, and the next day I went into the one close to my house to get the other stuff I was getting. Unfortunately that one was out of the wine, that's why I didn't originally go there. They were pleasant as usual, actually beyond nice, and didn't even ID me, which just goes to show the other location was on some kind of power trip or something. Then I got an email from them to review my experience, which they send every time I go there, and I never do it, but I decided to select the location I had the bad experience at and give feedback on it. So I wrote exactly what happened, and then the next day I got a call from the store manager. Turns out the guy that night was an assistant manager or something. However, he was much more pleasant than the woman that called me. She was extremely rude and condescending and told me that she reviewed the cameras and that someone walked in with me at the same time and that made us party. I told her I didn't know them. She said it didn't matter. So apparently people can't walk into Total Wine at the same time as you. Then she said that the employees were watching me and that the person left 30 minutes before I went to check out and they saw it. Okay, so, also if that is the case and that is your policy, why didn't you say something when you saw the person leave and we could have cleared up the whole situation right then and there, instead of continuing to allow me to shop for another 30 minutes and waste my time to know that when I came to check out you were going to deny it. So I told her that even if that is the case, someone can't leave the store. And she said no. To complete the transaction they would have to drive back with their ID. This made me extremely angry because even if that is the case and that is your policy, at least you can offer an apology for the inconvenience or something like that. Not just call me to argue and stir the pot. I was already kind of over it because it had been like 2 days, but just her whole attitude and nastiness about the whole thing was really an insult to injury. So I decided to look up their policy, and their policy clearly states that this only applies to parties at checkout, so the rule is who is with you at checkout, which makes sense or is at least more understandable. Another policy I read which was interesting was that any online order not picked up within a week will issue a full refund to your original payment method. So my friends and I were sitting home drinking the stuff I had got at the other location later that day and telling them what happened, and they were all shocked. I used to work retail for a long time, specifically during COVID, and I know what an inconvenience it is to set up big curbside pickup orders because they take up a lot of space on the order shelf. So drunk and mad I decided to enforce their own policy on them and make a $10,000 order for the soonest possible pickup time, which they promise orders ready in 3 hours. So I made sure to order the cheapest, heaviest bottles I could think of so it can take up the most amount of space in their curbside are, and made sure to only order like 1 or 2 of each so they couldn't just give me a case, they had to get individual ones, and I ordered their whole supply of Tito's since it's popular and it's the holidays and I know people are going to be looking for it. And this Total Wine has its curbside order section in the front behind a counter where you can see it, and I know when customers saw it they would ask for it and then they would have to explain how someone ordered all 238 bottles and they're back there on reserve. Then they'd probably get grouchy and ask for a manager, but the manager would be busy because I also made sure to order a lot of bottles behind glass so they would have to run around with their keys scrambling to get this order ready. I worked retail and I know how much stuff like this throws off a schedule and annoys the managers. So I loaded up the cart and stopped when I got bored and placed the order. I got the email confirmation which specified that you have to wait for the pickup confirmation email, and that pickup times aren't guaranteed, so I thought for sure they were either going to cancel the order or call me or something. And something interesting that is sent with the email is a pickup policy that states specifically the recipient of the order needs to be 21 so you can have other people in your car not 21. Well, 5 hours later I got the pickup email. It took them longer but I was still surprised. Then later I got a pickup reminder email. Then 3 days later a second reminder. Then 7 days later I got my final notice email, and then on day 10 I got a phone call. It was the manager acting like a completely different person this time, asking when I was coming for the order. At this point I think she knew I was freaking with them because it had been 10 days and she knew my name from the previous feedback thing because when she called she asked for me by name and my name was on the order, so I told her yeah I went to pick it up and was told I looked too young. So I just went to the other Total Wine and picked it up, the same stuff there, so then she was mad and said, are you seriously not coming to pick this up? Lol restuck. I just said nah. She hung up Elmao. When your higher up asked you why your store had to refund someone $10,000, explain to them what you did, Elmao. They were supposed to automatically cancel the order at the 7-day mark, but she didn't call me on the 10th day. So I called their customer service line to cancel it, and she told me some stores wait until the end of the month to do it. I'm assuming the manager was trying to hold out on refunding to end the year on a better number. Retail does that. I made them cancel it right then, Elmao. Not an idiot. Total Wine Management is always on power trips. A friend had just left the checkout line with a shopping cart full for a 4th of July party. Management grabbed his cart before he could leave and yelled that he needed to pay. He told them he did pay, and if they didn't let him leave he was going to return the whole cart. And no, he wouldn't show them the receipt like they asked. Had they asked nicely for a receipt, he would have shown them. But violently grabbing the cart was enough for him. He returned the whole cart while the manager tried to apologize and talk him out of it. Not an idiot. I tried to buy alcohol on my 21st birthday, and was told we can't sell this to you because we don't know what time of the day you were born. Not an idiot. While meanwhile I went to Canada for my 19th birthday, and the night before my birthday we went out to eat. My friends were all older than me, so they got beer. I had to be the DD. The waitress asked if I wanted any and I said no, I don't turn 19 till tomorrow. And she just said that's close enough, you sure? Now for the next story. This happened less than 2 weeks before Christmas 2022. We had an apartment together for a little less than 3 years and a dog that we rescued when it was a puppy, which makes me sad. At one point we were really in love and would talk about the future. A year and a half ago I lost my job and 3 months later lost my uncle who I was extremely close to. I spiraled and fell into a deep depression. I don't think she knew how to help me and she started hanging out with her girlfriends more, plus she switched jobs and had one day free out of the week between her job and school when we could actually do something together. She would spend 70% of the time that day with friends, so I was alone at home, which just made me worse mentally. We stopped planning trips as much. We'd go to Disneyland, spend the night somewhere on the coast, etc. Fast forward to that fateful day. She was supposed to go to Disneyland with her best friend after work. Her friend called me worried because she hadn't heard from her. She sent me her location, my GF, and I never shared location or went through each other's phones because there was a mutual trust there, at least I thought there was. It showed she was around the corner from our place at a gas station. I drove over there worried, and that's when I saw her kissing a guy outside of her car. I was naturally pissed and she was shocked and startled. The guy took off and she and I talked for 20 minutes in her car, and I said I was going back to the apartment to pack my things and leave and we can say goodbye there. I guess I was kinda surprised when she didn't come back to the apartment to talk or say goodbye. 4 years gone so easily for her. To think I had bought a ring a month before I lost my job is just crazy to me. On that day and week I was baffled that she could just drop all of that so quickly, and I was a wreck. Then that next week I felt like I took an adrenaline shot and so much life came back to me. My parents said they haven't seen me this happy in 2.5 years, and they were right. On top of things that lead to my depression, she sucked the happy carefree side of me out like a parasite. I wish her nothing but the best. I know this is cliche, but she did me a favor. I can finally pursue my dream career in Arizona and I have nothing holding me back. The reason for my post boils down to if you're struggling in life, persevere and push through it. There is light at the end of the tunnel, and that's coming from someone who thought about ending it. B. It doesn't matter if you don't like any kind of conflict like her. If you've been in a relationship with someone and have shared intimate moments with them and have gotten close to their family and so on, and you're thinking of cheating emotionally or physically on that person, just end it. Just end it, you owe it to them. Also, no, I haven't seen my dog since that day, which is the only thing that I'm sad about.